That dangerous beast had to go. Margaret's voice dripped with self-righteousness as she stood in my living room, brazenly admitting to poisoning Max, my trained protection dog. He made my son uncomfortable. I had to protect my precious boy. I gripped the edge of my desk, steadying myself as I watched her on my laptop screen. The security footage showed her sneaking into my backyard at 2 a.m., tossing tainted meat over the fence. She didn't know that Max was trained to only eat from his designated bowl. The poison-laced steak lay untouched, evidence of her attempted crime. My name is Olivia Kane, and at 34, I'm a former military K-9 handler turned professional dog trainer. Max, my Belgian Malinois, wasn't just a pet. He was my partner, protector, and highly trained service animal who'd saved my life more times than I could count during my deployments. You tried to kill my dog, I said, my voice eerily calm as I continued watching her self-righteous confession. A trained service animal worth over $50,000. Margaret's face reddened. Don't be so dramatic. I just wanted to make him sick enough that you'd have to get rid of him. Daniel can't relax with that beast around. Daniel, my husband of 2 years, was Margaret's only child. She'd never approved of me, the rough military woman who'd stolen her precious boy. The fact that I now ran a successful protection dog training business only made her more resentful. Max is a highly trained protection dog, I explained for what felt like the 100th time. He's certified and insured and has never shown any aggression toward Daniel or anyone else without cause. He growled at me last week, Margaret protested, crossing her arms. Because you tried to hit me, I reminded her. He was doing his job. The incident she referred to happened during our last family dinner. Margaret took offense when I declined to let her redesign our home, raising her hand as if to slap me. Max merely stepped between us, a low warning growl letting her know such behavior wouldn't be tolerated. Well, it doesn't matter now, she said smugly. That meat should be working its way through his system. You'll have no choice but to put him down when he becomes aggressive from the poison. I felt a cold smile spread across my face. Max doesn't eat food from strangers, Margaret. It's part of his training. I turned my laptop around, showing her the security footage. But this video of you attempting to poison him? That's going to be very interesting to the police. The color drained from her face. You were recording me. I record everything. It comes from years of working with valuable service dogs. You'd be amazed how many people try to harm them out of ignorance or spite. You can't show that to anyone, she sputtered. I'm your mother-in-law. Think about what this would do to Daniel. I already have, I replied, pulling out my phone. He's watching this footage right now at work. He should be here any minute to deal with his mother, who just tried to kill his wife's service dog. As if on cue, the front door opened. Daniel stormed in, his face a mask of fury I'd never seen before. Mom, what have you done? Margaret turned to him, arms outstretched. Danny, I was trying to protect you. That dog is dangerous. The only dangerous person here is you, Daniel snapped. Max has protected both me and Olivia. He's scamly, and you just tried to kill him. But Danny, stop. Daniel's voice cracked like a whip. The police are on their way. You're going to be charged with attempted animal cruelty and trespassing. And after this, you're not welcome in our home anymore. I watched as Margaret's face crumpled, the reality of her situation finally sinking in. She'd been so convinced of her righteousness, so sure that her position as mother gave her the right to do anything she wanted. Now she was facing real consequences for her actions. The sound of police sirens grew closer, and Margaret's smug confidence wholly evaporated. She looked at me with genuine fear, finally realizing that her perfect plan had backfired spectacularly. Olivia, please, she begged. We can work this out. I'll apologize to the dog. His name is Max, I corrected her. And no, we can't work this out. You tried to kill a trained service animal because of your prejudices. There's no coming back from that. The next few weeks were a blur of legal proceedings and family drama. Margaret's arrest made local headlines. Mother-in-law attempts to poison service dog. The footage from my security cameras was damning, showing her not only tossing the poisoned meat, but also repeatedly casing our property in the days leading up to the incident. She'll likely face felony charges, Detective Torres explained during our follow-up meeting. Attempting to harm a service animal is taken very seriously in this state. The premeditation shown in your footage makes it worse. I sat in our living room, Max's head resting on my lap as I processed the information. Daniel paced nearby, still struggling with his mother's betrayal. I just can't believe she'd go this far, he muttered, running his hands through his hair. I mean, I knew she was controlling, but this? The evidence had revealed more than just the poisoning attempt. The police found receipts for the toxic substances in Margaret's purse, along with a detailed journal outlining her plans to free Daniel from that woman and her beast. She'd been plotting this for months. My phone buzzed with another message from Daniel's sister, Amanda. Mom's asking for character witnesses for her hearing. She says if we don't help, we're betraying the family. I showed Daniel the message, watching his face darken. She still doesn't get it, does she? He said, sitting heavily on the couch. She's the one who betrayed us. Max rose and moved to Daniel's side, gently placing his head on his knee. He'd started doing this more often since the incident, sensing Daniel's emotional turmoil. I watched as my husband automatically started scratching behind Max's ears, his tense shoulders relaxing slightly. You know what the worst part is? Daniel continued, looking down at Max. She kept saying she did this for me, but never asked how I felt about Max. He's been nothing but protective of both of us. He was right. Just last month, Max had alerted us to a potential break-in, his training kicking in when someone tried to force our back door. The would-be intruder fled when Max gave his warning bark, and the police later caught him trying to rob another house in the neighborhood. The preliminary hearing was set for next week, and Margaret's lawyer was already trying to spin the story. My client was acting out of maternal concern, he claimed to the local news. She genuinely believed the dog posed a threat. But the evidence told a different story. The security footage showed Margaret's calculated approach and smug expression as she tossed the poisoned meat. The journal entries detailed her resentment not just of Max but of me and my entire military background. A proper wife wouldn't keep such a dangerous animal, she'd written. Daniel deserves someone more refined, more suitable to our family's status. The support from the service dog community was overwhelming. Other handlers shared stories of family members who didn't understand or respect their dog's training. My business increased as people sought trainers who understood the importance of protecting these valuable animals. Even Daniel's extended family sided with us. His Aunt Susan, Margaret's sister, called to express her horror at her sister's actions. She's gone too far this time, Susan said. First trying to control Daniel's marriage, now this. She needs professional help. The stress was taking its toll on Daniel. He'd lost weight, and I often found him in the home office late at night, staring at old family photos. Max never left his side during these moments, his steady presence offering comfort when words failed. I keep thinking about all the times I made excuses for her behavior, Daniel confessed one night. The snide comments about your job, the constant criticism of our home, the way she tried to manipulate me against you. I should have put a stop to it sooner. I squeezed his hand. You're stopping it now. That's what matters. Margaret's attempts to contact us grew more desperate as the hearing approached. She sent tearful voicemails, written appeals, and even had friends try to ambush us at work to plead her case. Each attempt showed how little she understood the severity of her actions. The final straw came when she showed up at our house unannounced, violating her restraining order. Max alerted us to her presence before she could reach the door, his training again proving invaluable. The day of Margaret's hearing arrived with tension and relief. As we sat in the courthouse, Max at my feet in his service vest, I watched my mother-in-law enter in handcuffs. She looked smaller somehow, her usual imperious demeanor deflated by the reality of her situation. All rise, the bailiff called as Judge Anderson entered the courtroom. The evidence presentation was brief but damning. The security footage played on the courtroom screen, showing Margaret's calculated movements. Her journal entries were read aloud, revealing the depths of her prejudice and premeditation. When it was time for victim impact statements, Daniel stood. His voice shook slightly as he addressed the court. My mother didn't just try to harm a dog, he began. She tried to destroy my family. Max isn't just a trained service animal. He's part of our household. He's protected my wife and me and shown more loyalty than my mother ever has. Margaret's sob echoed through the courtroom, but Daniel continued. I'm asking the court to mandate psychiatric help as part of her sentence. This isn't just about the attempted poisoning. It's about years of controlling behavior that finally went too far. The judge's sentence was firm, 2 years probation, mandatory psychiatric counseling, a hefty fine to be paid to local service dog organizations, and a permanent restraining order preventing her from coming near our home or my training facility. Mrs. Wheeler, Judge Anderson addressed Margaret directly. You're fortunate the dog's training prevented your plan from succeeding. Had you managed to poison this animal, you'd be facing significant prison time. As we left the courthouse, reporters gathered outside asked for statements. I declined to comment, but Daniel paused. Sometimes the family you choose is more loyal than the family you're born with, he said, reaching down to pat Max's head. And sometimes it takes a crisis to show you who has your back. After the hearing, life settled into a new rhythm. My training business thrived, with Max becoming something of a local celebrity. We even started a program to help other service dog handlers deal with unsupportive family members. We received a letter from Margaret's therapist 6 months after the hearing. She was making progress, the therapist said, finally confronting her controlling behavior and its roots. She'd asked if we'd consider meeting with her in a controlled therapeutic setting. Daniel and I discussed it over dinner, Max watching us with his usual quiet attention. What do you think, Poi? I asked him. Max tilted his head, then went to fetch his leash, his usual signal that everything would be okay if we faced it together. The meeting was set for a neutral location, her therapist's office. Margaret looked different, more subdued. Her hands trembled as she spoke. I've been doing a lot of work in therapy, she began. Learning about boundaries, about respecting other people's choices. I realize now that my behavior wasn't just wrong, it was cruel. She turned to me directly. Olivia, I didn't just try to harm Max. I tried to destroy something precious to you and Daniel because I couldn't control it. I'm deeply sorry. Looking at her then, I saw something I'd never seen before. Genuine remorse. Not manipulation, not performance, but an accurate understanding of the pain she caused. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she continued. I'm not even asking to be part of your lives again. I just wanted you to know that I understand now why what I did was so terrible. Daniel reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. Thank you for that, Mom, he said quietly. That's the most honest thing you've ever told us. We left the meeting with no promises made, but something had shifted. It wasn't forgiveness. What Margaret had done was too serious for that. But it was acknowledgement, recognition that change, while difficult, was possible. A year after the incident, our lives had transformed. The training center had expanded with a unique program for families learning to integrate service dogs into their homes. Daniel had become an advocate for service animal protection laws, sharing our story to help strengthen legal consequences for those who harm working dogs. One evening, as we sat on our back porch watching Max play in the yard, Daniel turned to me. You know, when Mom started acting out against Max, I worried about choosing between my family and my wife. I never realized I wasn't choosing between them at all. I was choosing between toxic control and healthy love. I leaned against him, watching Max patrol his territory with the same dedication he'd always shown. Sometimes the best family members have 4 legs, I replied. He laughed, pulling me closer, and sometimes they teach us more about loyalty than any human ever could. Max trotted over, resting his head on Daniel's knee as if agreeing. He was more than just a service dog, more than just a pet. He was the catalyst that exposed the poison in our family dynamics and the strength that helped us build something better from the ruins. As the sun set over our yard, I thought about how life's biggest lessons sometimes come from unexpected sources. In trying to destroy what she didn't understand, Margaret had inadvertently strengthened our family's bonds. And Max, the dangerous beast she feared so much, had shown more wisdom and grace than she ever had. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge, it's living well, surrounded by love in all its forms, even those with 4 legs and a wagging tail.